I think one of the true unsung heroes of the food world was the first guy who figured out how to shuck an oyster and eat it. I mean, I'm not sure I would have had the balls to do that myself, but I'm sure glad that somebody figured it out, because flash forward to today, I love oysters. I love everything about them. I love eating them. I love sucking, slurping, and swallowing them. I love them plain, and I love dressing them up too. Previously on Food Country. There are three basic ways to eat an oyster. Au naturel, plain, straight out of the ocean. Simple with just a little bit of lemon juice, maybe your favorite hot sauce, or all dressed up. Either way though, you've got to start by opening the oyster. There are lots of different types of oysters out there. These just happen to be Colville Bays from Prince Edward Island, and I do think these are the very best oysters in Canada. But regardless of where they come from, they all basically open the same way. They all have a hinge on the narrow end, and you've got to figure out a way to get a knife in there and pop it open. Now, I'm a chef, so of course I have a custom molded to my hand oyster knife. But even without one of these, even if all you have is one of these, no worries. Here's how it's done. So the first step is to find that little tiny space in between the top and bottom shell. And once you find that space, cram your knife right into it. After you've found that opening, instead of trying to lever the oyster open like this, instead, all you really have to do is just twist a little bit. So it's more of a turning motion like this as opposed to a leverage motion like this. So here's what you do. About halfway down the shell is the muscle that actually keeps the oyster closed. So that muscle needs to be cut. So the thing to do is just take your knife and travel along the top of the shell until you feel that muscle, then cut it loose. That's the muscle that you just cut. Then, that same muscle is still attached to the bottom shell, so that same muscle has to be cut a second time. And once you've done that, it's time for some slurping. Now the key here is not to swallow the oyster whole, but to chew it, to savor it, to enjoy it. It truly is one of the most unique taste sensations in all of food. And it's perfectly good just like this. It's also fun to dress it up a bit. Here's everything you need to make my all-time favorite condiment for oysters. Pickled red onion dill relish. Super simple to do. Basically, all you have to do is combine roughly equal parts red wine vinegar with sugar. Bring that mixture up to the simmer. Then add a thinly sliced red onion. Bring that mixture back to the simmer. Chop up a bunch of fresh dill. Then wait for the onions to cool before mixing in the dill so it stays fresh, green, and tasty. There we go. Now, at the moment, this is steaming hot. It's way too hot to put on a chili oyster. So the best thing to do is to refrigerate it overnight. Of course, this is the web, and we all have relatively brief attention spans, so we need to speed this thing up a little bit. That's easy too. Check this out.
They say that this valley you're leaving.
There, works every time. So, now that everything is chilled down nicely, really, all you have to do is just mince it up a little bit. Pickled red onion dill relish just waiting for an oyster. Now that's a good looking oyster, and I know it's going to taste great, but that oyster is a long ways away from heading out on the town for the evening. That's very nice, but there is one key component missing. Let's just say that every martini needs some booze. But not just any booze. This is true potato vodka made at Prince Edward Distillery, and it really is good with oysters. There's a certain earthy background flavor to this. Of course, it's crisp vodka too. It really does taste good with oysters. Now that is a thing of beauty. A Prince Edward Island oyster potato vodka martini. There's a lot going on in my mouth right now. Contrast the salty brininess of the oyster, the sweetness of the pickle, and the sourness of the pickle, along with the aromatic flavors of the dill and that sharp, sharp vodka. That is smoking good. In fact, I think I'll have it.
There was a gal, her name was Sadie Mae. She packed her grip and slowly walked away.